As Americans, we're constantly reminded that at any moment we could be killed in a terrorist attack.
Thankfully, the Young Turks are here to tell us that it's not a problem. Just stop paying attention to terrorism and it will just go away.
What are your odds of dying in a terrorist attack? Now, the numbers vary depending on how you define it and all of that, but the most likely estimate I've found is 1 in 9.8 million Americans will die in a terrorist attack. Some people say 1 in 20 million or even higher.
So according to your statistic, out of the 320 millions of Americans alive right now, about 30 to 35 would die from a terrorist attack. Looking at the number of people who died in Orlando, I can already tell you that it's going to be more than that. Your statistic is complete crap. I don't believe it for 1 second.
So keep that number in your head as we start to talk about some of the things that are more likely to kill you. First of all, being struck by an asteroid. That seems ridiculous, isn't it? 1 in 250,000 to 500,000 people will die because of an asteroid, which is ridiculous and unlikely, and you shouldn't think about on a daily basis, but is still far, far, far more likely than you dying in a terrorist attack.
Holy crap. Could this be the stupidest thing the Young Turks have ever said? I mean, I'm sure, because, it's the Young Turks, but wow. So, in September 2016, over 300 people died from terrorist attacks. According to NASA, the number of people who died from asteroids, 0. And I don't mean 0 in September 2016. It's 0 in recorded history. This is unbelievable. I mean, there are people distracting you with non-issues. And then there is the Young Turks. They literally said that something that hasn't killed anyone is a bigger problem than terrorism. And they believe it. Or at least they look like they do.
We had a vice presidential debate last night where 50% of the debate was talking about terrorism, as if we're under imminent attack. We lost a third of the country to terrorism.
When's the asteroid debate?
Exactly.
We need to put hundreds of billions of dollars into our military to stop rogue asteroids.
Is that when you'll show concern, Cenk? When you lose a third of your country to it, maybe you'll consider terrorism to be a problem? I don't think many people are willing to wait that long. But there is one thing you're right about. Having a debate about the dangers of asteroids would be insane. They would look insane if they had that debate. And so do you. You look completely ridiculous arguing that asteroids is a bigger danger than terrorism.
They're 1 in 174,000. A dog bite could kill you, actually. 1 in 114,000. Your odds of dying from falling from a ladder or scaffolding, 1 in 9,500. So much more likely than dogs, let alone terrorism. But do we worry as a nation on a daily basis about ladders?
Lightning rod, leash, hard hat. There, I successfully reduced the risk of death from all those things. Is it that easy to protect ourselves from terrorism? Can I just go to the store and buy something that will reduce the risk of me dying from a terrorist attack? I don't think so. Protecting ourselves from terrorism is infinitely more complicated than that. It requires a lot more people, a lot more coordination, a lot more money. That's why the government is involved. That's why they have debate about it. Something I find very interesting. In this video you only talk about terrorism, but if you look at the description, you mention the anti-Muslim propaganda. So let me ask you this. Don't you think that the likelihood of being attacked in the US is so low because you don't have a very large Muslim community? Are you seriously looking at the situation here in Europe, at the communities like in Molenbeek, in Roubaix, in Birmingham, in Stockholm, and think, yeah, we should have that in the US. Looks great. Come on, man. The fact that you're very unlikely to die of a terrorist attack is a good thing. You should want to keep it that way. Minimizing the threat is not going to accomplish that. In fact, it's going to have the very opposite effect. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that saying terrorism is a problem and it's dangerous is not propaganda. Okay? It's not, it's the truth.
Because death by assault by firearm, 1 in 358. There we're getting more likely. Still, the idea that you should be scared about firearms on a daily basis, that you should, say, have one in your house specifically because of that, it's 1 in 358. It's still extremely unlikely.
Well, I guess that's an improvement. We went from distracting people with non-issues to distracting them with an actual issue. But the fact that you have a lot of gun-related death in the US doesn't make terrorism any less of a problem.
Of course, the first three causes of death are obvious. They're heart disease, cancer, and stroke. But, you know, those are eat your vegetables. Okay?
Yeah. Well, actually, why don't we bring up the top 5, just so you can see what will actually likely kill you. Most of those are cardiovascular. They're determined by diet.
You know what? I don't see murder on that list either. So maybe it's not that big of a problem. Maybe we should stop worrying about that too. After all, it's not like having laws against it is what stops a lot of people from killing each other over nothing.
So worry a little bit less about radical Islam, perhaps, and a little bit more about your intake of certain foods.
Yeah, so
Read
bacon's,
some Michael Pollan.
bacon's far more likely to kill you than a terrorist. And
This guy just told us that bacon was more dangerous than terrorism. And you're gonna tell me he's not a Muslim? Come on. How much money did you get from Qatar to say this? And my diet is my choice. You know, freedom. That thing terrorists don't want you to have. I'm fucking glad the main ways to die in the West are from natural causes.
rightfully get mad at Ralph Nader over the 2000 elections. But remember, he got his seatbelts, and that was activism. He was not a politician. He didn't need to be president. He did activism. He got seatbelts in the cars and saved millions of lives.
The same logic applies to terrorism, you moron. Do you think the terrorists would have stopped sending planes into buildings by themselves if we didn't reinforce security in airports? You're not being a Muslim apologist anymore. Now you're being a terrorism apologist. And more than that, it's not just about the people being murdered. It's about the values of the West. Freedom of expression, women's rights, gay rights, values that should be at the core of the left, actually. And now you want to let those people destroy those values. And you claiming to be on the left. I don't understand that logic. The level of mental gymnastics required here is beyond my comprehension. Anyway, I've asked a lot of questions in this video, and I think we all know how you're very likely to answer to those. Oh no, look, a ladder! Ah!
Of course.
Anyway, I think I'll let Cenk have the last word here.
There is a reason why they're lying to you, and it's usually for someone in power to make more money.
If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter @GreenEyeDude, and I'll see you next time.